As we're live, so welcome to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal Self-Care Challenge. My name is Robin Knott, and I'm your host of the channel and the founder of the energyhealingschool.com. Our signal looks kind of up and down. Hopefully, we'll get through this just fine. So I'm going to walk you through my journaling process and share some real-life examples along the way. So if you have your journal, come journal with me. Again, I like to just get in the space of being open and willing to listen, right? And sometimes it takes a little longer for things to come up. And sometimes things come in quickly. Either way, just be gentle with yourself and allow it to be whatever it is. So again, if things come up that seem way off in left field, like your to-do list, or did I remember something, blah, 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 let it come, let it go, let it come, let it go, let it come, let it go. Sometimes it's just our brain's way of clearing the fog, right? Or even avoiding the question, if you will. I like to write out self-care challenge because for us, self-care is an acronym, right? So back on Mondays with the Root Chakra Energy, talking about self in mind, body, and spirit, increasing our self-awareness. And in my healing system of Best You, we associate our beliefs. So B for Best You, just in case that I didn't specify that. Then the question, the journal prompt for the day, what are your beliefs about caregiving? So this one, I'll probably sit with again, just because of my current situation. And many of you know I take care of my mom. So things can change and progress and expand and evolve over time as they do, right? So remember, you write out the journal prompt because you're asking yourself the question and then you're allowing yourself to answer. So one of the first things that came up for me was kind of like not what I originally thought, not what my original ideas were. So my beliefs about being a caregiver have changed over time, right? Because my experience has changed over time. So as an empath, how often do you become a caregiver or at least a helper? So that was really my initial journey and where my mindset was, right? Was being a helper. So then caregiving, in my belief, my idea was just like helping more, right? That's all, you're just helping more, which is not necessarily not true. So what is it for you? Do you consider yourself a caregiver? And if you do, what does that look like? What does that mean for you? Do you consider yourself a helper, right? Again, often empaths, we do, or we choose jobs that fit into that role in some way. So maybe not the caregiver for like activities of daily living, what they call ADLs for short, but maybe like in my former career, I was being a mental health, substance abuse therapist, right? That was my way of helping. Now this is my way of helping, teaching Reiki, teaching energy healing methods, right? Talking about clearing chakras and working with the mindset and just clearing the energy all through the chakra system. So what ways do you find yourself being a helper or a caregiver? Again, this time for this journal prompt, I went straight for the caregiver. Let me check my journal. What else came in? Then it went to, so the duties involved. So as I was saying, it expands and evolves over time, right? So what do you help with as a caregiver? And you're helping more with those ADLs, activities of daily living. To what degree is that? So then it came in of, so you become a caregiver for someone else. Do you take care of yourself? Have to wait, baby. Sorry. My granddaughter's here. And then I was thinking like, wow, it just seems so interesting. I'll just use that word, interesting. Not putting all my mom's business out there, but she's got like a lot of different doctors, right? Like 8, give or take. So we see doctors very often, like more than one typically every single month. And then I asked myself in doing this journaling prompt, I'm like, when's the last time I saw a doctor? Not that I want to, not that I need to, just the process, right? I'm pretty sure it's going on like 7 years. Like how's ironic, really, that as a caregiver, I take my loved one to see many different doctors every single month. But myself, I've not seen any in almost 7 years. Isn't that ironic? I'm not going to say that that's all part of self-care. There are parts of self-care we're going to touch on here. It depends on what your beliefs are about, doctors and if you need them and if you don't, and so on and so forth. Again, I don't feel that I've needed one. So even if I wasn't a caregiver, it would probably still be almost 7 years since I've seen one. So I'm not saying that that's directly linked, just kind of ironic. However, other ways that we take care of ourselves, right? So I do take care of my own activities of daily living, but are there some things that get stretched or set aside, meaning like mental health? So when you're taking care of someone, as you know, as you're out there helping people in the world, people have difficulties, right? Whether it's physical pain, it's emotional pain, it's just some types of struggles. Maybe it's cognitive memory, mood, right? Whatever it may be. It's cold, and then you're more cold because A, B, and C increases that, and not liking it kind of thing, right? So it affects your mood. Point being, it affects the energy. So again, as empaths, being caregivers and helpers, and you're helping people who are having some form of a challenge or they wouldn't need the help, right? You're sharing the space and the energy. So again, taking care of self, being aware of self and what is mine, what isn't. There's even, I've noticed physical things. I might have shared this before. Certain things that I'd have to ask myself, like, whoa, or caught me off guard. And I was like, oh yeah, ask, is this mine? And then realizing it wasn't, and then checking on mom. 'Cause like, well, it's not mine. It's probably hers, right? And is she okay? Because that didn't feel okay. But being aware of what's yours and what isn't, being aware of your own needs. Because oftentimes, if you're like me, oftentimes you get wrapped up in whatever, and then you don't really take care of yourself. You don't really clear your own energy. You don't really ground. You're not grounded into your own body. You're not protecting your own energy. You're not doing things to filter the energy around you and taking care of the energy in the environment around you, right? It can become overwhelming, and it can become, do you need to plug in? Go plug in on my phone. That's fine. Sorry if that's what you're waiting for. Sorry. Um, the energy around you and in your environment, which is why we do this journaling process, right? Bringing it into our awareness. So as I was sitting and asking yesterday on Sundays, I usually just do like a brief meditation and check in, like, okay, let's prepare for the week. What are we going to journal on this week, right? So I kind of have an idea of where, at least the theme of the journal prompts for the week, the Sunday before. I was like, just kind of listening, tossing out some, like keywords to see if something would drop in. And the caregiver part dropped in. I was like, oh, really? And then I was like, oh, well, yeah, definitely. That completely makes sense. One, because this, right? Because it's where I'm at and what I do, and I can totally relate. And we do what we need, right? We teach what we need. And two, because as empaths, and I haven't been talking specifically as empaths lately, but that's what I focus on, empathic healers, we do get in these helper roles, and we do oftentimes become a caregiver, and then we do oftentimes deny our own care, right? Our boundaries. Yeah, I have to revisit those again, right? The boundaries, just because, let me rephrase. The thing about boundaries, it's okay. The thing about boundaries is we set them, but we can't like control or dictate what other people choose because they have their own boundaries too, right? So meaning sometimes we need to ask for help. And sometimes we ask for help and still don't get it. So then you're left with the then what, right? So when you ask for help or you need a break and you don't get it, then what? What's the boundary in this type of situation? You can't make people do things. Not saying I haven't tried in some ways, in all humanness and honesty, transparency, but it doesn't always pan out. So you have to find the ways, bless you, to still take care of you, right? Because it doesn't mean that you completely toss yourself out the window, so to speak, and say, well, I guess I'm just stuck. Doesn't you feel that? Ugh, stuck, right? No, not stuck. What is something else I can do? What is another way I can take care of me? So maybe that time for self looks different now. Maybe that break looks different now, right? So some of that is mindset. And again, clearing out the energy within itself. And this is where our beliefs are tied in because that part, it can go in all kinds of different directions, right? The mind, that negative ego mind chatter can really kick in and start down a hamster wheel, which I don't even want to start feeding that about people around you, about all things, right? However, or we intentionally choose, make decisions, choose on how we can change our perspective. And sometimes that means like meditating just before I fall asleep and then putting it out there. Like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. This is what's created right now. This is my reality right now. Is there a lesson in it? Is there a new perspective in it? Is there a way to change the mindset, to change the way I'm looking at it, to change the beliefs around it, right? Because we can personalize it or we can detach with love. Mhm. So detaching with love takes practice. Detaching with love really focuses on us being who we are. So Be You Challenge is all about that. So perfect timing as we launch next Monday, the 5-day Be You Challenge. So if you have not signed up yet, link is in the description, to delve into and break these patterns, the ones that would kick in the human ego mind, which mine does still find cracks in the wall, if you will. There's not a wall, but seeps in and peeks in and it goes on to that negative pattern. But doing this journaling process helps bring it to my awareness still, so I can visit it. I can hold space for what still needs to have held space for. I don't know, was that proper? I can hold space if I need to, when I need to, because obviously something's still there, right? Something else is just surfacing to get my attention because it needs my attention. So I can hold space for it, clear it out, notice the pattern, break it, right? Break it. Many people do many things. We don't have to be taken out, and we do have choices, and we do have boundaries within ourselves. We have boundaries and choices to decide whether we want to step in and be guided by the highest or pulled down by the ego. Mm. So having that within our own belief system is being able to see the difference, right? So let me know if that makes sense. Let me know how this journaling process is going for you. If you resonate with the prompt for today and what your beliefs are, a little bit about root chakra energy, because self, the body, you, is resonant or is governed by the root chakra, and our beliefs are governed by the root chakra energy. So when that energy is wonky, in addition to part of what we discussed today, when we feel kind of pushed and pulled and the ego wants to take over, we, excuse me, we may notice changes in our weight or have eating disorders. I've shared before that I would eat my emotions, right? So in our eating habits, some people do a very extreme opposite, like use diuretics to keep just emptying and flushing out the body to an unhealthy degree. I don't mean like detox or when as needed, but to an unhealthy level. Might experience sciatica, elimination problems, pain in your hips, knees, or other extremities, have fears and insecurities, those trauma reactions, lack of boundaries, fight, flight, freeze mode, right? And experience depression or anxiety. So again, let me know how you are doing Let me know if you're joining me in the 5-day BU challenge. I'm so looking forward to that. Again, launch date is Monday the 22nd. Of course, it'll be an ongoing. It will be in self-study mode, so you can get it at any time. And through, because we're in January now, so through April, 1 week out of the month, we'll have live Q&A as well to go along with that 5-day self-study challenge. So I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all on that too. So again, check the description. The link is there. Come join me. Thanks for sharing your time and space with me. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time in the world it is for you. I will see you tomorrow for sacral chakra healing, where we're talking about emotions. So much